Hello everybody, welcome back to another offline review, the series where I review games for their offline modes, as well as the quality of their disc builds. And in today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, and boy do I have some words to say about this game, and they are not particularly nice words either, so let's just get started. So I guess the question that everybody's going to be asking is if this game's even playable offline at all. And the short answer is yes, but the long answer is a bit more complicated. So I was playing the game straight off the disc without any updates, and I also tried the patched version, and my offline experience with both was wildly different. So I guess we'll just start with the unpatched version first. So when you first spawn into the game in the unpatched version, I guess you're put into like this tutorial thing in the firehouse. But the problem is that you can't actually do anything in the tutorial, which means it's impossible to complete the tutorial. So that leaves a great first impression, first of all. But thankfully you can at least skip the tutorial by going into the pause menu and selecting skip tutorial. However, keep this tutorial thing in mind because I'm actually going to bring this up later too. So after you complete the tutorial, you're actually spawned into the proper firehouse this time, and I'll just get this out of the way right away. There is no offline progression at all. However, at the very least, the developers did unlock everything from the start in offline mode, so you can customize your character with all of the cosmetic items. You can also go into your loadout and actually customize and upgrade all your equipment, and everything like that is available in offline mode. So I will at least give credit to the devs for that. That's something that a lot of other offline modes don't do. And in my opinion, it is the next best thing to having progression in offline mode. So at least there's that. Now, when it comes to actually playing the game, that's where things kind of take a gigantic nosedive. So because this game is a multiplayer focused game, it substitutes real players with AI bots. And honestly, that's perfectly fine. Except the AI bots in this game are some of the most unintelligent things I've ever seen in my entire life. The AI basically don't really do much of anything at all. Most of the time, they'll just kind of aimlessly wander around the map, not doing anything at all. Even when there's a ghost or a rift right in front of their face, more often than not, they'll just either stand there, sometimes even staring directly at it, and just not do anything. They literally will not do anything. I think in my entire playtime with the game, the AI only really tried to zap the ghost only like a few times, and they only zapped the rift like once from what I remember. Like they were so unhelpful. And that's a really big problem because this game relies pretty heavily on cooperation, but the AI teammates don't cooperate with you at all, which makes winning matches dang near impossible. I was still able to win a match on all 5 of the game's main maps because I was able to figure out how to cheese the ghost AI, which by the way is pretty much equally as bad. But yeah, playing the game offline is a really unpleasant experience just pretty much because of the AI alone. Oh, and that's also not mentioning the bugs I encountered, which were very plentiful. I actually had one bug where the friendly AI would just stand directly in front of my crosshair, and if I tried to move my crosshair or like aim somewhere else, the AI would just move to lock into my cursor basically, which made it literally impossible to shoot anything, and I couldn't win the match because of that. So that was a really, really fun bug. And there was also lots of times where the AI would get stuck on each other and the ghost AI would get stuck in things. It's just a super buggy experience in general. And also, you can't play as the ghost in offline mode, at least not in the unpatched version. So you are basically stuck with playing as the Ghostbusters the entire time. So yeah, it's not a particularly pleasant experience to play this game unpatched. Also, this is one of those kinds of games that's really hard to figure out without a tutorial, which is a huge shame because the tutorial is broken in offline mode. So I tried to download the patch to see if maybe the patch would fix any of the problems that I had in the unpatched version, but when I booted up the patched version offline, I was greeted with an offline mode that was even more broken than the version that's on the disc. So remember how I mentioned earlier that in the unpatched version, when you first boot into offline mode, it kind of gives you this tutorial thing, except the tutorial's broken and you can't complete it, so you have to skip it? Well, the patched version does exactly the same thing, except you can't skip it. There's no option in the menu to skip it, which means you are literally perpetually trapped in the tutorial and you can't do anything. The patched version is quite literally unplayable offline because of it. Now, I tested both the PS4 and the PS5 version to see if either version was different, but no, both versions are exactly the same. I don't know if the Xbox and PC versions are different, but the PlayStation version is quite literally unplayable offline with the patch, at least as of 1.04. Now, apparently the developers are aware of the issue, so it'll probably get fixed. But that still doesn't change the fact that I'm literally unable to check the patched version to see if it fixes any of the problems of the unpatched version because I quite literally cannot play it offline. So to sum things up, the unpatched version is near unplayable offline, and the patched version is literally unplayable offline. So for my final offline review score, I'm going to be giving this game a 3 out of 10. While feature-wise, it is a lot better than I've seen in a lot of other offline modes, the gameplay itself in offline mode is just so unbearably broken that it's just an incredibly unpleasant experience, and it's even worse with the patch. I can't even check if the patch even fixed any of the problems with offline mode because it managed to break offline mode even more. So yeah, it's not something I can really recommend if you were going to be playing this game offline. So yeah, if you guys liked this video, be sure to leave a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.